Yo, welcome to All Things Covered with Patrick Peterson and Bryant McFadden, part of the CBS Sports Podcast Network. Man, the name says it all. If you like what you hear, make sure you leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. You can also watch us on YouTube. Man, just go ahead and visit youtube.com/all things covered. So make sure you subscribe and turn on your alerts so you can get the show right away. Pat P, man, what we going to cover on this episode?
Yeah, Mac, man, we got a lot to cover today. Cam Newton obviously just went viral the other day at his 7-on-7 camp. Another quarterback got traded. So we're definitely going to have our reactions on that. And we got another young superstar. Mac, I'm going to let you have this title for today. He's from DBU.
There you go.
FSU.
There you go.
I'm not going to say LSU, FSU.
Yes.
Just because the day, this is their day today. We're going to let them have the day.
Every day, our day.
But anyway, our man, young Derwin James, he does a lot of amazing things on the field and off the field because we know his hand-eye coordination is bananas. And he's also one of the batting players in the game. So we're going to have opportunity to chat it up with our guy, DJ.
Derwin James. Stay tuned. Now, first quarter of the show. You guys know what time it is. Time to chop it up. As Pat just mentioned briefly in the intro, Cam Newton went viral. He didn't go viral because he just signed with a new team. He didn't go viral because he signed a new contract. He went viral just basically doing some community service hours, to say the least. You know what I mean? Being a participant, a watcher, a coach, whatever the case may be, at a 7-on-7 tournament. And there was a video. I'm pretty sure you guys have all seen it as of today, as of tonight. You've seen the video. You heard about the video where there was a young participant, player, young teenager who was basically heckling Cam Newton, to say the least. We're just basically throwing shots at Cam. You know what I mean? Saying he's a free agent, he's this, he's that. And Cam Newton had some choice words to say back at the teenager and responded, "I'm rich, and where's your father? Where's your dad?" So it was an back and forth verbal dispute, to say the least. But that incident, there were so many different headlines coming from that incident. There were so many different opinions from people who play the game of football, from people who play sports, from people who just watch sports, or just parents in general. And Pat P, I know you were very, very vocal in seeing that video. You had a lot to say. When you saw that video, I mean, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
I was like, wow, honestly, like I was like amazed that, it went on, the length that it did. Everybody have their ways of handling, situations, you know what I mean? But, at the end of the day, if I was in the situation, or if I, was put in that moment, and at the end of the day, we all know Cam is special. Ain't no doubt about it. He's a special, football player, MVP, one-time MVP of this league, first pick, in the 2011 draft, Heisman Trophy winner. So, what the kid was saying is definitely, it was false. He's not a bum. I mean, evidently he's a free agent. Everybody's going to go through, at some point being a free agent. But, for me, if I was Cam, all I would have had to say to that kid to kept it short and kept it moving is, this young man, continue to be humble. You're where I'm trying to be.
Yeah. And the old saying, the loudest one in the room is usually the weakest one. And I was amazed to see the kid. I don't know what started that verbal dispute, to say the least. I don't know what started it, but it didn't make any sense. And for his teammates to sit there and see the interaction. And then I don't know where his coach was. I can tell you this much: if I was coaching that team, I got to set a standard for the respect. You know what I mean? You got to respect the game of football. You got to respect the craft that it takes to be able to go out and do your job consistently, day in and day out. And he is a free agent, correct? But that's where you would like to be at some point in time in your career, young fella. You want to get to the NFL where you can be a free agent. Granted, if you get released, or if your contract is up, that means you're in the league. That is so difficult to get. The NFL is a very, very difficult, tough league, not just to get there, but to stay there. The average lifespan is 3.5 years in the National Football League. So me personally, I was so disappointed, and I don't know exactly what was what he had to face when it comes to being disciplined for that interaction. And he did apologize. He came out with a nice, sincere apology, to say the least. I'm not going to read the entire apology, but he apologized to Cam. He apologized to the tournament. He apologized to the people that saw that. But you can't play for me. I got to set a standard. You know what I mean? And Cam also readdressed the situation later in the video. I know you guys probably saw that video as well. He was just trying to talk to the kid, and clarify that everything was good, most importantly. But he and Cam said in the post, he said, people want to see me arguing with another man, a young man, and to see me get in my feelings. But the truth is, I impact kids' lives in a positive way, which is true. He's very, very much involved in the 7-on-7 circuit around here in the South every year. And he said, make no mistake about it, I allow kids to realize there is an out by using their football talents to get them to the next level, in most cases out of the hood, which is true, which is a true statement. So it was disappointing to see. You know what I mean? Me personally, Pat, if I was coaching that 7-on-7 team, you can't play for me. We're going to sit you down. There has to be some repercussions for your actions. And you can't tolerate that. If you want to make yourself known to Cam, go out and ball out against his squad.
Right.
You know what I mean? Talk trash to his players. Talk trash to the people that's on the same level you're on, to your peers. You know what I mean? And the thing about me and you, we were once on that level. Granted, the 7-on-7 circuit is much more intense than it was when we were coming up. But I would never, if there was a professional player that was there to watch us, I'm hyped that he is here, and this is my opportunity to be noticed, to get noticed by him, not verbally by my verbal actions, but my physical actions in between the lines.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah. But he did apologize, and one thing we have to understand, we will always fall short of perfection. Children, adults. You know what I mean? He made a mistake. He owned up to his mistake. He put out a apology. So let's move on. And let's hopefully this is a learning experience for him, along with other kids that may have an opportunity to have that same platform at some point in time.
Right. And like you said, to his defense, he just said his competitive edge got the best of him. And how sometimes that could be.
Yeah. Sometimes in the heat of the battle, you might say some things you might not you might not say in the household, right?
Exactly. So, but I haven't really spoken and spent some time with Cam in a while, but I'm sure Cam is letting this roll over his shoulder and he's moving on to the next 7-on-7 camp. And you're right, he has been doing nothing but great jobs. I mean, a great job of trying to make football and to help these kids' lives better than what it can be if football is not there for them. And it's not only football though. It's other things as well that he's doing in the Atlanta community to try to make those kids' future bright.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, in other news, throughout the National Football League, Pat P, I'm sure you're aware of this, along with our listeners and viewers. Vincent Jackson passed away at the early age of 38. Now, this happened over a week ago, and upon me and Pat releasing All Things Covered the episode from last week, the news just broke. We didn't have enough information, so we didn't want to talk about it, but we definitely want to hit on that a tragedy from a week ago in Vincent Jackson. Vincent Jackson was selected one spot ahead of me. I was 62nd in the NFL draft in 2005. He was 61st. My first interaction with Vincent Jackson in between the lines happened in the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. And he played on the opposing team. So I didn't see him until game day Saturday. So Pat P, it was funny because I was aware of all the big name wide receivers. I was aware of all the big name secondary players that were a part of the opposing team. I didn't know anything about Vincent Jackson, did not know anything about him. And I remember the first time he lined up on my side, I thought he was a tight end that they flexed out wide. So I went through the media guide in the locker room, but I didn't really dissect the media guide. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, I know they had Mark Clayton and some other,
Hey, that was another big boy too.
Yeah, big name players. But, Vincent Jackson about 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, I know.
So when he came to my side,
Floyd.
Yeah, Floyd. You talking about Floyd, but he probably was bigger than Floyd. But I think he had war number 1. So I'm like, who is this big tight end coming up to my side? Think he gonna route me up. So me personally, I'm approaching him like he a tight end. And Pat P, anytime you got a tight end flex out wide, you kind of like, man, listen, man, you're not about to get anything, right? So I'm like, man, this tight end he's not getting anything on me, man. This man came off and threatened my cushion within his first 4 steps and got up on my toes. I said, oh. So I said, man, I'm like, hey, what position you play? I said, bro, I play wide out. So we came back to the sidelines. Hey, man, have y'all covered number 1? And you know how it is, Pat. Sometimes when you covering a guy who was a little faster, a little better than what you thought he was, you ask the other guys on the sideline, like, hey, have y'all covered such and such? I said, man, y'all covered number 1, the big dude, man, 6'4". He's like, yeah, boy, he got something. I said, who is this dude? Where this foreigner from? He's like, man, I don't know, man. He's from a small school. So the next time he came out, man, he tried to hit me with a post corner. I'm like, man, this dude can move. I'm instantly called my boy Travis Johnson. I said, bro, I don't know who this light-skinned dude is from Northern Colorado, but boy, he's a straight beast. It was like he was Megatron before Megatron. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But long story short, man, the tragedy happened, man. He passed at the early age of 38. And this has been a reoccurring trend, you know, for NFL players, to say the least, Pat P. And the thing that I would like to highlight, you know, when NFL players pass early or they take their lives early, you know, the first thing that surfaces is CTE. You know what I mean? And the family said he may have suffered from chronic alcoholism. And they also donated his brain for CTE research. But one thing I would like to make known for our listeners and the viewers is that I would love for the NFL to get more involved in the lives of retired players. And Pat P, you haven't reached that level yet, but there are a lot of players that when they leave the game, financially, they're good. I mean, their pockets are fat. Every account they have is fat, but internally, they're not good. You know, some players create a substance abuse. You know, they get involved in some type of substance where they're abusing that substance. Some players mentally go through things internally where they become abusive to the people that's surrounding them. And we don't know until the tail end. You know what I mean? Right. Until the tragedy actually happened. And I had a conversation with my good buddy again, Travis Johnson. Second time his name has made the show. He's famous now. But we were talking about this because he played with Vincent out in San Diego with the Chargers. And we were like, man, the NFL should come up with a platform or some type of program, an obligation. When you retire, Pat P, for you to be able to apply to be able to receive your pension or your retirement plan whenever that time comes, you have to fulfill this medical protocol, the mental protocol and the physical protocol, because there are a lot of players that deal with so much trauma internally when they're done from the game and nobody knows about it. You know what I mean? And like I said, you're still young in your career. You're only 30 years old. You're still going to play another 5-6 years. But we keep seeing too many players who are rich. And I know to the world, when you are rich, you're supposed to be good. Everything's supposed to be good. It doesn't work that way if you don't have internal happiness. You know what I mean? So, you know, hearing that news, what was the first thing that came to your mind hearing the news about Vincent Jackson?
Man, I was shocked. And when they said found dead, you know, the first thing, because it was, like you said, it wasn't much information that was put out. I was like, man, I just hope he didn't take his life, you know, because he was, didn't know much about Vincent, but had the opportunity to play up against him. And I think I played in a Pro Bowl game with him as well, if I'm not mistaken. But, like you said, just seeing some of the things that he was able to do on the field, was amazing. But like you also said too, you never know what's going on in people's lives, when they leave the locker room, whatever they have going on, when they get home or what they even dealing with. A lot of people deal with things different. Like you said, it may be a substance abuse, maybe a choice of alcohol abuse, whatever it may be. We don't know how people, deal with certain things. So I think it's definitely would be a great idea for the league to continue to try to find ways to dive deeper and to trying to make life easier for retired players. So that guys can, have someone to lean on when they are done with the game, because I believe they are doing a better job of giving players resources, but I think they have to do a better job of making sure that guys understand where this stuff is, putting it in front of them, holding 2 and 3 seminars a year in Viva, California, Florida, so guys, it can always be a reoccurring conversation. It can always be it can always be talked about. So, you just have to continue to lead, just have to continue finding ways to, put this in front of guys so guys can feel comfortable. Because at the end of the day, too, a lot of guys may be scared to face the fact,
Yeah,
that they that they may have a mental issue,
an
or they may
issue.
have, you know what I mean. So you know that's another hurdle that we all as men, as people, and as the league have to do a better job at, as well as facing the facts. So obviously, if someone is scared to face the fact, is it's tough to put them in a situation. But I think the more they see it, be like, all right, it got to be a sign. You know what I mean? It got to be. I think it'll be something that that will alert them to build up that enough courage to finally get the help that they need.
Yeah, mental wellness, physical wellness is priceless. There's no price on that. But when you don't have it, you feel lost. And I know I can fill you guys in on a personal battle that I've been dealing with since I retired. With some of the concussions that I sustained through my career has been migraines. And I've been dealing with maybe 4 or 5 migraines weekly for over probably about 4 or 5 years now. And that has been extremely difficult. And I've been able to do my own due diligence, sometimes paying out of my pocket to try to find a resolution for some of these migraines that I'm having. But I haven't been successful in doing so. And basically, upon observations and observation from seeing some of the specialists I've seen, they're basically saying these frequent migraines that I'm having coming from the head trauma of playing a game of football. Now, would I trade it all in and do something totally different? No, because that was my love. But the thing that I would like to emphasize to our listeners and our viewers is that when we sign up for this game, especially with some of the older players, we were not as aware of some of the circumstances that would surface from the game, like how players are aware now. And there used to be a time when you would get put to sleep, they give you some smelling salt, they put you right back out there. Now the protocols are they're very, very different. But I know for me, it's very, very scary when you see a young guy like Vincent Jackson, who to the normal eye, to the worldly eye, had everything you would think a man would want to have. You know what I mean? And he was battling something. And that's the first thing I said earlier when I addressed this situation. If the NFL can come up with some type of protocol, before you can apply for your pension or retirement plan, we're going to have you fulfill these obligations, the mental obligations, the physical obligations, because we want to make sure when you're done with the NFL, you leave the shield, that you're in the best shape possible, mentally and physically, to be able to attack whatever it is you like to attack and not attack yourself or attack someone else. And I think they definitely have the means to do so, because there are a lot of players going through certain things. Me personally, I'm fortunate enough not to resort to any type of substance to try to, cover up the pain. You know what I mean? I just kind of, and like you said, Pat P, you said something that was so sincere, so important, and so true. Sometimes we're afraid to ask for help because we've been taught to be warriors. We've been taught to play the game when we're injured and hurt. And we've been taught to live the same type of way we did when we played the game of football, you know what I mean, on the field. So for us, we never were taught to show any sign of being vulnerable, because if you show vulnerability, that means you're weak.
Right.
And that's what we were taught as players. You know what I'm saying? Right. So there are a lot of guys that are they want help, but they're not going to ask for help because that's not who we are as football players. You know what I mean? Right. So it's sad to see, but hopefully we won't see these things continue to happen to players that are extremely young. Death is already hard to accept when old people die, you know what I mean, who are dealing with natural health issues. But just imagine when people are young and they die, and that's very, very difficult. So hopefully the NFL can come up with some type of means to be able to prevent these things from happening. Now it's time for my favorite part of this show. And the name of this segment is Has Pat Heard? Now, for you guys that are maybe new to the show, new to our platform, this segment we had to introduce to All Things Covered because you guys know it's the off season. And one thing about Pat P during the off season, he's doing two things, right? He's either traveling or he's playing golf. And sometimes they're tied to the hip. He's traveling to go play golf along with working out. So regardless, those are the three things that he's doing: traveling, playing golf, working out. And sometimes all three, they're tied to the hip. And when he's moving around, when he's on the golf course, Pat P is not really in tune about what's going on around him in the sports world because he's doing what he loves to do outside of play football, which is golf and travel. So we decided to implement this into our show. So for you guys that are tuning in for the first time, Has Pat Heard is a segment for you guys that have been following the show. You heard this segment before. Pat P has a record. We've been keeping note on Pat P. So right now, his record so far, out of 9 stories, he's gotten 5 right. He's heard 5 of 9 stories.
Okay,
you're above 500. So we're going to continue to keep check on Pat P. So the first question for Has Pat Heard?
Talk to me.
Carson Wentz got traded to the Colts.
Yeah, I heard that.
You heard that?
Yeah, I heard that.
All right. And with Carson Wentz, and Pat P, our producer Eric, he has the love that he has for Ben Simmons. He has the same love for Carson Wentz.
Really?
Oh man, this man loves Carson Wentz, man, like he loves his right hand.
Hey man, shout out to Eric though, because we did have an argument last week talking about Ben Simmons and who was the second player?
We asked, would he trade Ben Simmons for Bradley Beal or Devin Booker?
Hey man, Bradley Beal, but my man, that night that boy went crazy, didn't he?
Hey, he texted me too. He texted me say he see Ben Simmons heard you guys talking about it.
Hey man, he went crazy.
He went crazy. He's still going crazy too. He been having a heck of a week. So shout out to Ben Simmons.
You guys feel free to trash talk him anytime you want. I'll take a 42-point performance.
Oh, okay, so you want us to be the motivation for Ben Simmons? I'm not going to do
every night. Show that
he's not going to be able to sustain that type of production, shooting the ball, making buckets. You know that, but you live your best life right now, Eric.
Yes,
it might be shorter than Leprechaun. But the second question for Has Pat Heard? Okay, real quick, let's talk briefly about that Carson Wentz trade to the Indianapolis Colts. I felt like it was the inevitable. It was going to happen eventually, and it did. But the thing about the Carson Wentz, Philly was willing to trade this man. They got a 3rd round pick in return in a conditional 2nd round that could go into a 1st rounder depending on the percentage of playing time or playoffs. And they're eating $30 million worth of dead money. So they just basically wanted to get rid of Carson Wentz.
They just wanted to see it.
And you played against Carson Wentz a few times in your career. Pat P, do you think Carson Wentz could reincarnate his career there in Indy with Frank Wright?
No doubt about it. I think Carson has a lot of good talent. I just think, you saw it when he had Frank. Very mobile quarterback. Reminds me a lot of Ben Roethlisberger, strong in the pocket. He can throw the ball while guys are still hanging on him. I just think just the big knock on him. Obviously, I just have to clean up the turnovers. Be able to hold the ball when pressure's around him in the pocket. Be able to limit the interceptions. But he has a strong arm. He has all the intangibles. And the year that we played against him, it was the year they went to the Super Bowl. He was unbelievable. Just his touch. Just his placement. It was all great. And I just think after that ACL. I don't know if it was I don't know how it is because I wasn't, haven't gone through that, situation. I don't know how it could be on the quarterback far as his plant, his drive leg. I don't even know which ACL it was he tore, but you could tell it changed the player who he was. You know what I mean? So we know what Carson can be. It's just all about can he find it once again while reuniting with Frank.
Okay, so Pat P, you heard that news with Carson Wentz. We got a chance to really dissect the ins and outs of that trade. Let's see exactly what will happen. Real quick, I got to figure out, from Eric, will he get a Carson Wentz Colts jersey? And Pittman already said Carson can't even get number 11. So now they're not even showing the man any love out there. He got to go get a whole new number because Pittman don't even want to sell the jersey number. Wow. I mean, Carson got that check. Maybe Carson want to pay 50 or 60,000. I'll get you can have it for 50 or 60, right?
Hey, Benji's talk.
No question. But the next question Has Pat Heard? Tim Tebow retired from baseball. Have you heard
Did not hear that. Nope.
Yeah. Well, he spent 5 years in the minor league in the Mets organization. Of course, Tim Tebow, 2007 Heisman Trophy winner, 1st round selection by the Denver Broncos in 2010. Pat P, you played quite a bit. You played a few times against Tim Tebow, too, to be exact. Who was the best quarterback you played against in college?
Cam Newton.
Oh, yeah, I forgot Cam.
Hands down. It wasn't even close.
I forgot. Yeah.
Tim Tebow was good, but Cam Newton was different, boy. That dude, Cam Newton, he was literally Superman, dog. Because Cam Newton can throw the ball a little bit better than Tim Tebow, and Cam Newton was faster, bigger, stronger, just nastier. He was that dude was crazy.
Kirby Smart said Cam was probably the best player he's ever played
Oh yeah,
against.
that's what I was about to say too. He's the best player, damn the quarterback, the best player that I ever played against in college. That dude was
There you
great.
have it. Okay, so you 1 for 1. You heard the
Yep.
Carson Wentz news. Did not hear Tim Tebow retired. Listeners, viewers, make sure you stay tuned. We got Derwin James joining us once we come out back from halftime. But we're attacking this Has Pat Heard segment, news segment, where we like to ask Pat P some questions regarding some of the big news to see if he actually heard it, because he's in off-season mode, and usually Pat P does not hear all the news that's circulated in the sports world. The last question for you. Deion Sanders made his college coaching debut. Did you hear that? Okay, you heard it. Prime is your guy.
No doubt about it. I heard that.
Okay.
My dad showed me. Yeah, it was a blowout.
Jackson State beat Edward Waters. Edward Waters, they're NAIA school, but they dominated Edward Waters. Which one of your current teammates or former teammates, Pat P, do you think would be a real good head coach, a good coach, to say the least? Current or former?
I'd probably say Larry Foote or Rashad
Foote
Johnson.
already a coach.
Oh, I'm tripping. Yeah. Rashad Johnson.
Yeah, Rashad. No question. Rashad super smart.
Only
thing I didn't like about Rashad, he wore that ugly 46.
Yeah, he changed it. He changed it to 26 once we got. It was 49, by the way.
It was 49. That's what it was. He was one below 50.
He changed it that. Yeah, he changed it at 26. Year 3 for me. I don't know what year that was for him.
Yeah. Now it's time for 21 questions. And here's an opportunity for our fans to be able to interact with us. The best way to do so, leave us a question, but attach a 5-star review to your question. So this week we took questions from Twitter. But like I said, if you want your questions to be answered in the future, leave us a question attached to a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll try our best to get to your question. This week, we have a special question from a special person, Pat DeSantis, from Twitter, on Twitter. And this is for both of us, Pat P. Who is the most underrated player we've went up against in the National Football League? You take it first.
The most underrated player that I went up against in the National Football League. Man, that's tough. In 168 games. Let me think. I'll probably say, to me, I'd probably say Brandon Lloyd, man. A lot of people don't, give him a lot of love.
Brandon Lloyd was a dog, man.
Yeah, man. He really was. I'm telling you, Brandon Lloyd, he might not know this, but I'm telling you, he helped me grow up to be because he was like one of the first guys that I really had to shadow, because it was in our division. Mm-hmm. And, he always gave me different stuff. So he made me like really, really work on like my craft and be prepared for when I go up against him, because Brandon was always so crafty with his releases. You knew he always had an opportunity to catch the ball, so you knew you had to be on your P's and Q's, but no one really talked about Brandon Lloyd. And I always said, like, forever, he was always one of the guys that, I believe that helped shape me, as far as, growing that competitive edge, knowing how, guys like to counter, off your movements, also understand guys are studying your play as well. So, yeah, man, Brandon Lloyd to me is probably the most underrated guy I've went against. And yourself, Mac, who's the most underrated guy?
Yeah, I think I'll give you mine in a second, but I think Brandon Lloyd might be one of the best shorthand catching wide receivers I've seen. He didn't drop nothing.
No, I do. And not only that, if the ball was out of bounds, you're talking about toe tap.
Oh, unbelievable toe tap.
Yeah, that dude was crazy, bro. It was not a ball that was uncatchable for him.
Yeah, no doubt. For me, my player, and some people may say, well, Mac, that guy was not underrated. He was never considered an underrated player. But I disagree. And the reason why I disagree is because I believe this man should be in the Hall of Fame. And the player that I'm referencing is Fred Taylor. Fred Taylor was, oh my goodness, man. Fred Taylor, man, when I tell you, if you could draw up a running back, if you can draw your ideal running back as a player, as a teammate, or as a coach, I think Fred Taylor should be the model. The reason why I say that is because Fred Taylor had the instincts. His above the shoulder game was tops. He was very, very cerebral as a runner. He had the power. He had the strength. He had the quickness in short area with his short area of movements. in short in small spaces. He can make you miss, and then he had the speed to go yard at any given time. And the thing about Fred Taylor, we used to have so many battles. Jacksonville, Pittsburgh. We go down to Duval. They come up to us. It'd be a primetime game. Anytime we went down to Duval, they gonna wear they all black. You know what time it was. And Pat P, they used to try to make us the corners tackle all the time. And the way they did that, crack replace. So what I mean when I say crack replace, listeners and viewers, anytime you see a wide receiver who split out wide or he has a nasty split, which is a split tighter to the line of scrimmage, and he's coming down on the end man, which is probably the linebacker or the safety, that forces the corner to tackle. And for me, man, I did not want to see Fred Taylor with space in between us with the ball in his football hand. His jump cut, arguably the best jump cut I've ever seen. And what a jump cut is when a ball carrier has a football, he's going one way. Instead of cutting across the football field, he implements a little jump, and he pivots off his outside leg and cuts back. Fred Taylor jump cut was unbelievable. I think because Fred is not in the Hall of Fame, Pat P, he's the most underrated player I've ever seen. And I think he's one of the best running backs. And yes, he dealt with a lot of injuries, but his numbers don't lie. When he was at his peak in the National Football League, Fred, I call him Fred PC Table. Fred PC Taylor. The PC stand for People's Champ because he was the People's Champ out there in Duval.
Yeah.
So that would be my underrated player. Yeah, and hopefully he gets into the Hall of Fame, man, because
I think he will.
Deserving.
I think he will.
Hall. No doubt. He's deserving to get in the Hall of Fame. Fred Taylor, my most underrated player, man, who should already be in the Hall, but hopefully he gets in. Thank you, Pat DeSantis, for that big-time question on Twitter. Like I said, if you guys would love to interact with the show, just make sure you drop us a question, leave a 5-star review attached to that question on Apple Podcasts, and we'll try our best to get to the question, answer your question. Now, you know what time it is. It's time for halftime. Time to go in, make a few adjustments, but on the opposite side of half, we told you we have a special guest joining us. Derwin James will be joining us on the opposite side of the half.
Yes, sir.
Stay tuned. Yo, y'all know what time it is. Man, we back from halftime. We promise you guys a special guest that will be joining us here, all things covered, Patrick Peterson and Bryant McFadden. We added a new member to our secondary. I mean, a do-it-all type of player. I mean, this man has played almost every position on the defensive side of the football on all three levels. I've even seen him play defensive end at the best football program in college football at Florida State, but we're going to tap into that a little later. But let me introduce our special guest, current safety for the Los Angeles Chargers, Florida State Seminole, a.k.a. DBU, 2018 first-round selection, 2018. This man jumped on the scene, man, kicking people in the face. First-team All-Pro as a rookie as well. Follow him on social media, Twitter and Instagram. The name is the same, at Derwin James. Make sure you guys follow him. This man is very, very entertaining away from the football field. And as you can see, you know, I usually swap my jerseys in my locker here, you know what I mean? But y'all see what I got right here over my left shoulder. I got that Derwin James at 3. You see I got Pat P over there. I got to keep my guy over there, Pat.
You got to send me that, man. You got to send me that. I'm going to sign that for you, man.
Say no more. Say no more. Say no more. But, man, like I said, special guest joining us, man. Derwin James, appreciate you for joining us here on All Things Covered. Number one, Derwin, you're the first former Seminole DB to join me because we've had quite a few LSU guys on here, Derwin, and I've been outnumbered. You know, we had Tyrell on here.
Hey, they deep. I can't lie, bro. They deep, man. They outnumber me in my locker room too, man. They deep, man.
I know, man. We last of the Mohegans to say the least, but man, thank you for joining us, man. Listen, before we tap into the football aspect, man, a video associated with you went viral last week showcasing your hand-eye coordination. Number one, how's your health? This is a two-part question. How's your health? And what types of creative things are you doing during your rehab process to remain sharp for the game of football?
Well, my health, first of all, that's most important, man. That's is where I need to be right now. I'm progressing, man. I'm almost back to 100% where I need to be. I had the surgery about 5 months ago, but I'm starting to feel like me again. Just trying to get my reaction, like you seen on the video, just keep my reaction up to par because, you know, we play this game. It's all about reaction, man. You got to be able to react, especially on defense. So really just trying to get my technique right, man, but not try to overtrain, overdo anything, man. Just focus on the technique and the basics, man, of just getting everything stronger around my body.
Well, obviously, you know, we haven't had an opportunity to watch much football of obviously what I think one of the best safeties in the game. And when you're on the field, as you played like the best safety in the game due to injuries. But how have the rehab process been going? Like, have you been getting like I know you said you're about halfway there, about 70% of like hard running. Like, what's going on? How the rehab process going right now?
So, man, if we was to do OTAs, I'd be ready to play OTAs. Basically,
Okay.
man,
That's good news.
I didn't moved along good and just starting the beginning, man. Since September, like I said, I've been grinding the rehab process, man. Every day, waking up 7 a.m., man, just going to get it every day, not making no excuses, and just doing it every day, man. And like I say, it's going to eventually pay off, and then eventually I'll be back out there playing football.
Hey man, and I had the opportunity to work out with you and Jalen out in the Bahamas.
Yeah, for sure. That was fun,
which
bro.
was a great opportunity, and I saw the work that you put in, and I was just, obviously working out with you and Jalen. You guys are much younger than me, but seeing the hard work, the energy, the passion that you bring to a workout that we had in April. You know what I mean? Getting ready for a season all the way in September. It just made me, appreciate that, because you don't see many young guys that come in the league that have that fire, that have that grit about that want to grind. So you get it, man. So you definitely gonna be in this league a long time. I just want to say, I watch you from afar, man, and that was a fun trip what we had out there in the Bahamas, man.
Yeah, man, that was a lot of fun, man. My dad still talk about that to this day, man. You changed that was my first time my dad ever got to, get out like that, man.
Yeah,
that's a memory he got for sure. He still talk about it every time I talk to him. He always asks how you doing, man, too. So it's all love, man. Bro. It's all love, big bro.
Yes, sir.
Hey, real quick, I want to clarify something, Derwin. I forgot. Pat, we had Crow on. Crow was the first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can't forget about Crow, man.
I can't forget about Crow Marty. I know he's gonna let me hear it, so my bad.
No doubt about it.
Yes, we had Crow on. So you the second DB. But talking about that trip to the Bahamas, Pat P told me about that opportunity. Said he enjoyed working with you guys. Fill the listeners and viewers in a little bit about what you guys were doing, because that's an amazing opportunity to have all three players that were all pro at some point in time in their career come together and try to feed and take little snippets of technique and fundamentals from each other to make their game better. But fill the listeners and the viewers in about that atmosphere and that experience for you guys and how unique it was. And what did you learn? Like, Pat, you told me you learned some things from the young fellas, and I know they learned some things from you guys, but, educate the listeners and the viewers a little bit about that opportunity, Derwin.
Man, that was a once in a lifetime opportunity for me, because, I'm a guy. I played this game at a high level, and then just watching guys like Pat Pete play at a high level from LSU to all the Pro Bowls, consecutive Pro Bowls that he made. And, for me to get an invite as a rookie to come out there and for him to share the knowledge that he had on the game and the techniques, as a safety, he had me doing corner stuff that I never thought I'd do. And I'm like, man, bro, how you doing it like this? How you doing? But it was like, man, the technique he had, it was just so different. And you could tell it was just so much different. We had Jalen, we both was athletic. Me and Jalen both was looking at each other like, man, Pat just different, man. It's just a different mind, a different mindset. I'm the guy that goes, let's work hard, let's go. But you got guys like Pat Pete that know how to train, that know how to work, and, know how to get the body in shape. That's what I can really say that I took from that trip. Just learning a lot of little techniques, and, man, just learning how to cover people, really.
Pat P, what you learn from the young pups?
Man, like I said, just for them to have that fire coming to work every day. I just saw the excitement on their faces, and like he was saying, just some of the things I was giving them, it was like, damn, all right, because like most guys that come into the league, they're like, man, we don't want to hear that. Like, we ain't trying to take no invite. You know what I mean? We don't want none of your advice. We can figure it out. And those guys are just all open ears. And I remember texting Jalen, because he did a technique I showed him, and he can vouch for it. I was like, man, hey, how you like that? How you like taking away that shade? How you like taking away that speed? He's like, dog. He said, dog.
It worked.
He said they coming right to me. He said they coming right to me.
Hey, Pat, I like for you to put your coaching hat on anytime we get an opportunity.
I can't do that. I can't
do that. I can't testify to that, man. The technique, man, I was using it in the training camp, man. The boys can't catch a ball, man.
Can somebody? Hey, Derwin, Pat don't want to share
we can't share
the spices.
We
you want
to,
but hey, Pat,
man.
I remember you told me, because you remember I was hitting you up. I'm like, Pat, why are you so high in your bump and run stance? And you remember you told me what led to you having that position at the line of scrimmage, and then eventually I remember being able to see Jalen, when he was in Jacksonville, incorporate the same body position at the line of scrimmage. And for us, all of us playing corner DB here on this show right now, we've been always taught to play DB low, like the low man win. But Pat P was the first person I ever seen, because I called him. I'm like, Pat, man, why you so high? And you kind of pigeon-toed. And he broke down why he gets in that stance, and it made sense. And I'm like, you know what? If it make dollars, it got to make sense. And I can tell you that much. That stance going to make a lot of dollars for you. And then seeing guys like Jalen do the same thing. And I remember watching Hard Knocks with Derwin. Was it this past year when you guys were on Hard Knocks and seeing you cover Keenan Allen, and I'm looking at you, looking at your body position at line of scrimmage, and he was trying to route you up, but you were right where you needed to be. And it's funny how all of you guys came together and you learned, you know what I mean? Just added pieces to your puzzle and created a outstanding product from that trip. So that's amazing. And hopefully the young, DBs and young ballers that are listening and watching us can definitely learn something from you guys. But I can tell you this much. Let's go back to your home front, Durham. You went to high school, Haines City High School. For anybody who's from outside the state, that's in Polk County. Paralyzed. That's from Polk County. You know what I mean?
Get on
for sure.
Me and Pat P, we talk about the talent all the time because we're from Broward County, you know what I mean, in South Florida. So we talk about our talented county all the time. But I can tell you this much. There's some ballers in Polk County. I mean, a lot, man. What makes Polk County so special? And a few names that people will recognize from Polk County outside of Derwin James. You got Ray Lewis. You got the Pouncey brothers, Carlos Williams. Those guys are from Polk County as well. A lot of people are from Polk County, but what makes Polk County football so special?
I don't know, man. I think it's something in the water down there. It's just like when you grow up, start playing, I think that's what give us. It's just, I think, our competitive edge, man. I always wanted to win. I always wanted to be great, and I always wanted to compete. And I think you learn that as a kid, and you develop those habits as a kid where I'm from. So, like, really, man, that's why I say the football, man, is no other like Florida football, man.
No doubt about it. With your family having similar dynamics, with your cousin Edwin James and Michael James, and then Vince and Carlos Williams all played in the league. What was it like having to learn from, your family members that grew up before you, having to live the lifestyle that you dreamed about?
It was a little different, man, because like I said, I grew up. They was much older than me, so I always got to see like them play and compete. I'm like, man, I want to be on that level. I want to play like, you know what I'm saying? I grew up, I remember watching Chris Rain and the Pouncey twins at Lakeland back when I was young. I'm like, man, I want to be on this level. I feel like I could be on this level. And I just used to watch how I just used to go with my friends. I wasn't old enough, but we'll just go out there, just watch them practice. Like before the games and stuff, we'll just watch them practice and watch them doing the drills. To me, that was cool, like growing up, just watching the older people, like, you know what I'm saying, do stuff. And then eventually, it's my turn to get out there. And man, it took off from there, man.
In high school, you was a dominant player. Odell Higgins recruited you. Shout out to Odell.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a little rumor, circulating from Haines City that you played nose guard in high school. Is that true?
Yeah, I had a couple snaps. It was a package though. It was like a little package, but I had a little good couple shares, man, for sure though. Yeah, it was cool, man. High school we more athletic than most of the guys, but it's a lot of athletes in Polk County too though.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh man. Well, we all know that you're very versatile in a lot of things. How did you come so good at so many things? Like, were you just very, very that one of those kids that was just active, or you just
man, I was
curious?
Yeah, it was that, bro. I was very active as a kid. I always wanted to do something to keep myself busy. Like whether it's playing basketball, whether it's running track, like whatever sport it was, whatever season it was, like I needed to be doing it. And then I just, like I said, I developed that just playing every day with my friends, man, and playing different positions. My whole life I played offense. I was an offensive player. I never really played defense till ninth grade. Crazy
story.
Who were you
playing on offense? You were playing running back,
quarterback, I was a running back my whole life. So I played running back my whole life. So eventually I hit a growth spurt. I started getting taller and taller. And then in my ninth grade, you said I went to Haines City, but my 9th and 10th grade, I went to a school called Auburndale High School, former school where Tracy McGrady went.
Chauncey Davis went there. I played with Chauncey at Florida State.
So I went there for 2 years, my 9th and 10th grade year. And man, the only position open on varsity was safety. And like they ain't allow freshmen to play varsity like in high school at that school for some reason. I ain't know why, but I was like, I'm not playing JV. So man, I just learned how to play safety from there. I'm like, man, I need to learn how to play safety. I went on YouTube. I started going to the little Nike camp when they came, like the Orlando, like when they came close. I'm like, man, I need to just go out and compete, try to get better. So, man, that's really what it was. That's where it took off from there. And then I just stayed dedicated, man. The work that it takes.
Mm-hmm. And talking about safety, the safety position, when was the first time you heard someone compare you to Sean Taylor? And what did you think about that comparison, hearing that? And I know how much you look up to Sean Taylor.
Now that was crazy because I ain't really a guy that like to compare like a lot of people, because I feel like everybody different in their own ways. People bring different things to the table, but just hearing that compliment, man, tell me that I'm headed in the right path, because he's a great player, man. Rest in peace to him. But man, he's one of, like everybody knows, that's my favorite safety all time, man. And just I try to implement things how he played, just watching film and tape on him how he played, just roaming the field. I try to emulate that in my game. So just hearing that comparison lets me know that I'm on the right track, man, and I got a lot of work to do. So I'm ready.
Well, this question is for both of y'all. I know Mac don't have no tattoo. What was your parents' reaction once you came home with that Florida State Seminole tattoo?
While in high school, by the way, he was still
while in high school.
So it was crazy. My mama told me, she said if I ever get a tattoo, she was gonna kick me out the house. Crazy story. She's like, if you ever get a tattoo in high school, you ain't gonna be here. Like you don't want to be a thug. You don't need to be none of that. So one day I caught her in a good mood. I don't know how. I think she was getting her hair done or something. She was with my aunties or whatever.
It was a Friday.
Yeah, it was a Friday. It was a weekend Saturday. I was like in the ninth grade. Yeah, ninth grade. I called. I'm like, hey, Mom, I went and got a tattoo just to test out to see what she'll say. Mm-hmm. So she was like, oh, that's you. If you want to look like a fool, that's on you or whatever. As soon as she said that, I went straight to the tattoo shop, man. I got tattooed.
Wait a minute. So you got the Florida State tattoo as a freshman?
When I committed, so I got offered by Florida State my ninth grade year, and then I committed. And then my 10th grade year, I believe I got the Florida State tattoo. I had got a couple of tattoos before the Florida State one, though. I had already had like a couple on my bicep.
You was already tatted up
once
already.
my mama gave me the green light, man, I was like, man, let's do it. It was over. So that was kind of how it was, man.
How many tattoos you got now?
Man, I don't even know how to count, man. I'm full up on my arms. I don't know how to count them no more, man. It's full. So, I don't know how to count, man.
I can tell you this much, Derwin. When you got that Florida State tattoo as a sophomore, it was the inevitable. You was going to go to Florida State. You had to go to Florida State.
Man,
right?
that was my team, man. I knew, and I'm a man. I like to be a man of my word, man. If I commit to a school, man, I don't care who coach. I don't care who doing it. I want to commit. So when I committed, I was like, man, this is where I'm going. So that's what I stuck by,
And speaking of Florida State,
how was Auntie Tina May?
Huh?
You ain't ask yours, man. How was Auntie Tina May when you
tattoo? Man, my mama. We talking about tattoo.
Hey, my mama, she ain't play, bro. She ain't play it. But
I'm a grown man. I don't got no tattoos. I don't even want none right now.
That day she let me up. She let me on, Pat.
Yeah, she let you go.
Hey, she let me go, and then I ain't look back, man. It was crazy, man.
Hey, Pat P, I ain't have no threats, but I ain't even asked the question about a tattoo.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think the most rebel thing I did was get my ears pierced.
Yeah, for sure, man.
But Derwin, when you look at Florida State, man, you had a great career. You jumped on the scene, kicking people in the face. Yeah. But out of all the big games that you were involved in as an individual, what was the best Florida State game you were a part of as an individual, coming from you?
The best individual that I was a part of, I had to say
individual game.
My junior year, I had to say when we played Florida, we went to the Swamp, shut them boys out 20. I think it was like 24-2.
That's the game Dalvin went crazy, right?
Yeah. Oh, was that Dalvin year? That wasn't Dalvin year. That was Brian Burns, a couple of other guys we had on our team. Dalvin was already gone.
No, Cook wasn't there? Because that's the game I remember you lined up at DN and you.
Oh no, that was my freshman year. That was my freshman year. That was my freshman year
when you hip tossed the tackle.
Yeah. When I threw the tackle, that was my freshman year.
And that's the year Dow and Cook was there then. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Cook wasn't there my junior year.
Pat P, this man as a freshman safety lined up at DN and hip toss the right tackle and knocked him into the guard. I said, man, this man got that's that Polk County strength, bro. Right. That man hip tossed the tackle. That's what they need to do. They need to go ahead and have that package for you with the Chargers, man. Could tell Coach Staley get right.
Man, I got to get out there for them boys, man. They waiting on me, so it's gonna be excited this year, man, for sure. I know they
Oh,
waiting
yeah.
on me, man.
Yes,
It's gonna be
sir.
fun, man.
Hey, so when you look at draft night, and I tell people this all the time, you know, there are a lot of people that will never experience that. There are only a few players, Derwin, that they're happy with their draft spot where they got selected at. And on this call, you know, I went in the second round. I thought I was gonna go first round. I was disappointed. I was mad because I didn't go as high as I thought I would go. Pat P, you know, Pat P was top 5. So I
Top
don't
5.
think
That was
I don't
top
think
5.
yeah, I don't think he had any
still mad.
complaints. Pat P, did you have any complaints about where you
He
got
probably
drafted?
still was mad. He probably thought he should have won.
Well, you know, everybody knew Cam was gonna go number 1. That was a
Yeah.
given.
Oh, yeah.
So
That
I
was a
think
given.
Pat, Pat
that was
P,
Cam, yeah.
out of all 3 of us, Derwin, I think it's safe to say Pat P was the only person amongst all 3 of us that was okay where they got drafted. But I know you felt some type of way getting drafted, being the 17th selected player. Do you still remember the guys that went before you, and what motivation has that brought to your game currently to this date, knowing that you were selected 17th, and I felt like you should have been easily a top 10 player? But
No doubt.
if you remember the names that went before you or the DBs that went before you, read them off, and do you still use that as motivation to this day?
Yeah, of course I use it as motivation because it was, like I said, it was 16 teams that passed on me, like I said. And it was one DB only took before me, Mika Fitzpatrick. He a great player, but, you know, I feel like I should have been a top DB that year. But, you know, the chips fell where they fell. So, you know, all we could do is just continue to work, man, and just go out there and get ready to show it on Sundays, man.
No doubt.
Yeah. And with the pandemic now obviously making the world so different, what do you have to be the most careful about being a young star in the LA and the Los Angeles area?
You in La La Land, man. Tell us what that lifestyle like.
Man, you can't get caught up in the clutter. I call it the clutter, man. You gotta keep
Yeah.
the main thing, really, man. Cause like it's a lot of distractions out there, man. You know, with the clubbing and just different things that don't really matter right now. You know what I mean? So it's a lot, especially LA, big city, man, limelight. So you got to keep the main thing. That's what I'm doing, man. I'm trying to get back out on the field because Lord knows I miss it, man. But like I said, I'm just ready.
2-part question for you, Derwin. You know, your rookie season, you were all pro, but what was the welcome to the league moment for you when you either got beat real bad by a receiver or tight end or someone ran you over, anything like that? And then at what moment in your rookie year did you realize, yo, I can dominate on this level?
So that first question, welcome to the NFL, I say that was week 1 because we played Kansas City. They had me at free safety. I went at strong, and those boys running so many post routes and go routes and double moves. So, you know, from Tyreek and all those receivers. So I say that was my first game in the league was welcome to the NFL because I had to make a couple plays deep. They tried me like a lot. Yeah. So really, that was my first welcome to the NFL. Then my moment where I knew I was in the NFL, it probably had to be like later in the season, like when we played Pittsburgh. I think it was like Sunday night.
I was there.
Sunday night game because it was everybody was watching. It was kind of like my family was watching. Everybody was back home, and I told everybody, I was like, man, I need a big game, man. I just need to show everybody what I could do.
You show it out.
Then
you hit James Conner, man, one time, almost took his whole soul out his body.
Yeah, I was trying to hit all them boys, AB, James Conner. They whole team. I was trying to hit them boys. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey man, well, with Justin having so many doubters entering the league after acquiring, you know, obviously all the doubters winning the Rookie of the Year, you know, in your opinion, you know, how did he perform this year, and what do you think he have to prove on to take you guys to the next level?
Man, I feel like Justin's special, man. He's a great quarterback, man. He's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in this league, and man, I can only say the ceiling's so high for him because, like you say, man, he had that chip on his shoulder coming in. It was 2 quarterbacks taken before him. You know what I mean? I said for him, you know what I mean? But he came in and worked hard. He didn't make no excuses, man. It was a lot different because them boys didn't have OTAs. They didn't have rookie mini camp, like nothing, man. I don't even think they walked across the stage. So, you know, just coming in, working hard, and then, you know, it was unfortunate what happened to Tyrod, but he was ready to go, man. When his number was called, he stepped in and he led his team, and he got Rookie of the Year, man. So I only feel like he's only going to get better, and I feel like he's going to take us to a lot of great places.
At what moment did you realize, you know, for us, you guys see things before we see it as fans because you play with him, you practice with him. But at what moment did you realize, like, yo, this kid can be special? I mean, we saw Hard Knocks, you know, we got a chance to see the inside scoop, to say the least, but you saw him every day. At what moment during training camp did you realize, like, man, we might got a little special one right here?
y'all?
Man, it was during that scrimmage that I think I got hurt, or even before that, it was like times in practice where he flashed out. But I remember that scrimmage, they kind of put the second group with the starting ones, the offensive group. And he came in and, he didn't have Keenan out there. He didn't have like none of the number one receivers out there. So all I can remember us as a defense just getting ready. And I just remember a couple times him just looking at me. I'm like, this man keep looking me off. And you don't really see that from rookie quarterbacks, coming in, looking at the strong safety, seeing what he had, you know what I mean? So I could tell that he was different. And then when he threw the ball, it whistled. Literally, when he threw the ball, it was like a rock came like from a rocket. So I'm like, man, this man gonna be special. And I knew he was smart. So I'm like, man, he got all the intangibles to be great. So I already knew it.
Yeah, he proved it. He definitely proved it. We know you tight with Jalen, and both you guys are out there in Los Angeles. But what was the first thing he told you about your new coach, Coach Brandon Staley, former Rams defensive coordinator?
Man, he said, you're going to love him, man. He was like, man, basically, like when Jalen tell me he a dog, man. Because he was like, he a dog as a coach. And we all know Jalen in this chat. But, man, he told me that we're going to have a lot of fun. He told me that he's going to be able to use me different, more than he was. Because, he's a corner, so you can move safeties a little more than you can with corners, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he said it's going to be a lot of fun, man. And he a great guy, man. He, you know what I mean? He got an expectation that he expects. So that's all you can ask for as a coach, somebody that's going to motivate you and push you every day and help you to a standard.
So what you think the ceiling can be for the Chargers if everyone stays healthy?
Man, sky's the limit. It's to be real, Brody. Like I feel like we got a great chance, man. Sky's the limit for sure. We got a young team, a lot of dogs for sure.
No question. Stay healthy, man. You guys know what y'all can do. Y'all got a quarterback. I can tell you that much.
Yes, sir.
That's the most important thing you got to have. Y'all got a quarterback.
We got our guy.
Yes, sir.
Guy, man.
Yes, sir. Before we let you go, we're going to transition to the superlative part of our show. We hit you with rapid fire questions. We want your unbiased, honest answer. First question: better school at producing DBs? LSU or Florida State?
Florida State.
I didn't think you'll say that. All right, best defensive back that plays in La La Land.
Ooh.
The best defensive back that plays in La La Land?
That play in L.A. Who the best defensive back that play in L.A.?
Oh, the best defensive back that play in L.A.?
Yeah.
Oh, 33rd, man. Come on.
33rd Street. I like that. 33rd
yeah.
Street. All right. We hear you a big-time Madden guru. Allegedly, right? That's what they say. That's the rumor floating around. Yeah, big time
man got titles, man. That man got
titles. That's what they say. They say best athlete or celeb you've played Madden against.
Best athlete or celeb, it got to be Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg was tough, man, to be a rapper. I didn't expect him. We had a tight game. I'm lucky the power went out because like Snoop was tough on me. It was a close game, but the power went out in the third quarter. So
you sure you didn't pull that connection,
I think
man?
Snoop had to go rejuvenate. He had to go rejuvenate, so he wasn't focused that much.
Hey, you probably was proud to hit that power button. Snoop had that pressure on you.
Yeah, for sure.
Man. Hey, the school you hate the most to this day, Florida or Miami?
Florida Gators ASAP. Any day.
I'm right there with you.
Florida Gators, bro. It's like we hate Miami too, but it's just like it's a love hate with Miami. Like I got a couple dogs on Miami. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Florida, I don't think I got no homeboys from Florida like that. I don't know.
Hey, I tell people all the time, Derwin, you dislike Miami, but you respect them because, like,
yeah,
you said,
for sure. Like I say, we'll kick it after the season or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ain't hanging with them Gators, man.
No, you hang with the Gators.
No, we don't hang with them boys.
Nah, no doubt. But hey, Derwin, man, we appreciate you joining the show. We're gonna let you go. Anything you want to pub? I mean, you're a big time gamer, man. What's up?
Man, I appreciate all y'all, man, having me on, Pat. You know it's always love, man.
Yes,
appreciate everything you've done for me, especially early in my career, bro. Appreciate you too, man. Just thank y'all for having me, bro.
Hey, no doubt. What's your online name?
What's this, all this stuff?
My online name, ball_out_33. That's easy. Y'all go do that.
Hey, I don't play like I used to, but Pat can contest to my Madden skills. I used to be real tough out there, Durham. But
I smacked you first quarter, man.
Oh man,
dang, he disrespectful.
Man. Oh man.
Hey, Durham, in my heyday, I didn't pick a team. I just did random select. So I hit it 3 times.
I do that. I do whatever team you land on. I do 3 randoms, man.
Yeah, 3 randoms.
If you pass the team, you can't go back to them. So if you go to the 3rd team, you stuck on them. You know how y'all pick between the 3 teams? We do a hardcore. No, if you go to that 3rd team, you stuck with them.
Yeah,
that's the
how I
way
do
you
it.
got to do it. So tell all your
Yeah.
friends. That's how you do it for real.
Yeah, that's what I used to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't pick a team. I do random select. You know,
Nah,
everybody want to go
man.
get the
Nah,
best
for sure.
team. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, man, best of luck to you. I'm gonna send this jersey to you so you can sign it. Man,
Yeah, I'm
stay
gonna get you the
healthy.
address.
We can't wait to see you on the football field causing hell for any offense you face off against, man. We salute
All right,
you.
man. Appreciate y'all, boy. Y'all stay up.
Thanks again to Derwin James, and thanks to everyone for listening to this episode of All Things Covered. If you like what you hear, make sure you subscribe and leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll be back with you next week where you can expect all things will be covered.
Peace.
Peace.